Hi, friends. Welcome back to Midweek Encouragement. So glad that you could join us here today. Hey, I have this friend that lives in Connecticut, and there are some unique things about the friendship I have with this person. Probably one of the things that stands out to me the most is that it's a relationship that we've never shook hands. We've never touched each other physically. We've never been that close together. Our hearts have touched, our minds have touched, but physically we've never made contact with each other yet. You see, we met because of a magic trick God inspired me to create years ago, and the trick is called Hide a Lie. Hide a Lie was something that I discovered on accident. And after creating that trick, I had it published in the Fellowship of Christian Magicians magazine. And then it was also published by somebody else in Cadabra magazine. And then I don't know how it happened. I don't know who did it, but somehow or another, it was put onto Pinterest. Well, somebody inquired about the trick. Does it work this way, or can you do this? And so I replied to that email, and then I ended up making a friend connection through Facebook with this person by the name of Jonathan. One day, Jonathan posts something on Facebook about something else, and we didn't necessarily, I said, why don't you call me and we'll talk about this? Well, he did call me, and the conversation didn't start off that friendly. It seems that Jonathan had a confusion about who I was. He thought I was somebody else, but we connected through the magic trick. And because of that trick, we had this really cool friendship. And I hope that one day we get to sit down and have coffee, share a meal, because it's not what's on the table, it's who is at the table. Well, a few weeks ago, I was traveling and he called me. And our conversation just started talking and sharing, and he shared about he shared an illustration, and I shared an illustration, and we began to talk, and he talked about some struggles, and he said, you should make a midweek encouragement about this. With that said, if you like what I say today, great. Thank you very much. If you dislike what I'm going to say, his name is Jonathan, and I can give you his contact information. But I think you're going to like it, because then I think Jonathan is going to like it. And Jonathan, I just say thank you for giving me this suggestion. It is well worth the time to put this together. And I hope that many are blessed by this. And Jonathan, don't forget, you have a standing invitation to my table, and so do the rest of you. I would love to visit with you. What Jonathan brought up was, over a period of a few years, he was going through some very difficult times with some different jobs that he was working at. And he questioned why so many things had happened. And I think he was even questioning God for what he was going through and what he was facing. So I think that for us, let's begin with a good foundation of God's word and build on it. Jesus suggests that God's word be the foundation for wisdom. The wise man built his house upon the rock. Well, look with me at 2 Corinthians chapter 1, starting at verse 8. We think you ought to know, dear brothers and sisters, about the trouble we went through in the province of Asia. We were crushed and overwhelmed beyond our ability to endure, and we thought we would never live through it. In fact, we expected to die. But as a result, we stopped relying on ourselves and learned to rely only on God, who raised the dead. And he did rescue us from mortal danger. He will rescue us again. We have placed our confidence in him, and he will continue to rescue us. And you are helping us by praying for us. Then many people will give thanks, because God has graciously answered so many prayers for our safety. Paul says, we thought it was over. We thought we were going to die. We didn't know that what we were going to do, but. Now, that's a very powerful word. And in English language, we often take the word but, and it cancels everything in front of it. He says, but this happened so we would rely on God. Our amazing Creator made this creature of nature that is amazing to me. And this is part of the conversation with my friend Jonathan. It was a little worm, and it's furry, and we recognize them. We call them a caterpillar. They crawl along the ground, and they hide behind leaves, and they eat the leaves at the same time that they're hiding behind them. Many caterpillars have the ability to use the trees and their coloring as camouflage for themselves because there are predators that would love to eat them. One day, a metamorphosis takes place. Metamorphosis is an amazing and amusing word to me. The process of transforming from an immature form to an adult form in 2 or more distinct stages. That's what the word metamorphosis means. So while this caterpillar spins the cocoon and it sits in this cocoon, a transformation is taking place for that caterpillar to become a butterfly. The time in the cocoon is natural for the butterfly, but it's also a struggle because during this time, major transformations are taking place. When the time comes for the butterfly to emerge from the cocoon, it doesn't just go, boom, it's out. There is an actual struggle. It's a very difficult struggle. It's, some people would say it's like a baby being born or a chicken being hatched. If you go up and help that butterfly out of the cocoon, you will kill it. You will destroy it. It needs the struggle to strengthen its wings, to strengthen its body, to become what it was created to be. In a similar, it's like the chicken. If you help the chicken out, you cut its chances for survival. We struggle. We struggle to grow stronger just like them. The monarch butterfly will migrate to Central America, from Central America to Mexico every year. They live about 7 to 9 months. And what a beautiful creature they are. Something I learned recently about caterpillars is that caterpillars don't reproduce caterpillars. Butterflies reproduce caterpillars. Their difference is butterflies are the adult version of a caterpillar. Rather than complaining about our struggles, I think we ought to give God praise for them because they are making us stronger. James 1 says, "Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing." We are going to face struggles in this life. And how we handle those struggles is a reflection of the relationship that we have with the one who sits at the stern of the vessel. Butterflies are not harmed by the rain. They live through storms, but they rarely fly in heavy storms. Instead, they land and they wait for the rain to stop and for their bodies to dry before flying again. I've seen in my own life that there are people much worse off than I am, people whose struggle is bigger than mine. I'm reminded of the life of Paul found in Acts 14, 19, and 20. It says, "Then some Jews arrived at Antioch from Iconium and won the crowd to their side. They stoned Paul and dragged him out of town thinking he was dead. But," cancels what's in front, "but as the believers gathered around him, he got up and went back into town. The next day he left with Barnabas and Derbe. Most of us would not go back into the town that just stoned us, but I'm sure those throwing stones thought they saw a ghost when he came after them. Look what his friends did. They stood around him. The Bible doesn't say what they did, but I think that during their silence they were praying. They believed the message Paul had given, and they saw the power of God working in his life. And because God will do whatever it takes to get his message where he wants it to go, Paul came back to life. The year was 1963, and Edward Lorenz presented his hypothesis to the New York Academy of Science. And his theory was this: a butterfly could flap its wings and set molecules of air in motion, which would move other molecules in the air, in turn would move more molecules, and eventually it would be capable of starting a hurricane on the other side of the planet. Now, they literally laughed him out of the conference. No one believed him. They called it the butterfly effect. Well, 30 years later, the scientific community, shocked and surprised after the possibility was introduced, physics professors working from colleges and universities around the world, they came to the conclusion that the butterfly effect was authentic, accurate, and viable. We might laugh at the butterfly effect or the theory of it. And what was once laughed at was now being embraced as the law of sensitive dependence upon initial conditions. And this doesn't just happen with the butterfly. It happens with us. Your navigation of your struggle will be seen by others. Others are seen if you go to the back of the sinking ship with the sleeping Jesus or just jump overboard. I recommend moving to the back of the boat where the captain and the rudder are. He doesn't just know the water, he spoke to it and he spoke it into existence. He has never failed me yet, but he sure has scared me to death a few times. And also I want to say, if you have a friend like Jonathan that you've never sat down and had coffee with, never had a meal with, never shook hands with, it's always good to have that kind of friend who likes to listen to you and will sometimes call you and encourage you. And to you, may God bless you and may you keep on flapping even in the midst of your struggles. Bye-bye.